Nope.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Moscow City Council. I am Julia Parker, acting mayor for the city of Moscow this week, since Mayor Betke is out of town. First, I would like to ask Drew to lead us in the pledge.
If you could please stand if you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Drew. First on tonight's agenda is the consent agenda. All items on consent agenda are usually routine and have been seen before the Administrative Committee or the Public Works and Finance Committee.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
All right, moved and seconded. Any comments before we go? Bryce?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Drew?
Aye.
Gina?
Aye.
Haley?
Aye.
Great, and I say aye. Next on the agenda is the public comment period. People are welcome to make public comments. There is a guide to making public comments in the little thing. What's that thing called?
Mailbox.
Mailbox outside of council chambers. We welcome comments on anything that is not before planning and zoning, is not before the Board of Adjustments, and is not on tonight's agenda. People can speak for 3 minutes at a time for a total of 15 minutes. Would anyone like to speak tonight? Nope, doesn't look like anybody's jumping up to speak. Next on the agenda is the second amended professional services agreement for the Moscow City Shop, and Cody Riddle will be presenting for us.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. As you'll recall, in April of last year, the city entered into a professional services agreement with Lombard Conrad Architects for design services for the new city shop building or campus. I guess I can call it a campus. That agreement was actually subsequently modified to incorporate additional design services for some additional landscape survey work, heating and air system. That modification was approved by council in November of last year. Moving forward, and I think at that time we mentioned that we would be back one last time for a subsequent modification to the agreement. That's why we're here. Interior modifications to the old shop have always been anticipated as part of a larger project. We have parks and fleet that will be moving over to the new building that's under construction now, and streets and storm. Steve's group still need a home. And so we've tasked or been communicating with Lombard Conrad Architects to amend the agreement a final time to incorporate the interior tenant improvements to that building.
Cody, can I just stop you for a
Sure.
second? Is your mic on?
Yeah, is that
Is it?
okay. Better?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay.
So we're back. Included in your packet is a third modification to that agreement that represents about $70,000 in design work, again, for a tenant improvement to that existing shop building to ensure the streets and storm folks have a safe professional workspace, and we get another 20 years of life at least out of that building. Our plan is, if the agreement is approved this evening, to proceed with design work over the summer and into early fall, put that project then out to bid later in the fall, and hopefully be under construction next spring. The item was reviewed and recommended approval by committee back on June 9th, and we are recommending approval of that agreement to you this evening. Thank you.
Questions, thoughts? Can I have Drew go first?
Drew can go, yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple things about this, like the campus, as you're calling it, Cody. I think, like as we've looked at it, higher design fees. Overall, this is going to make our employees a lot more efficient. And then two, it's going to, I think for morale, since we do all the work on mostly 90%, actually it's more than that, probably 90% of all of our own work. I think the old shop getting a facelift and making it more habitable for this cost it's a really good like it's fair, very fair. So that's just all that's all I have to say about it. So I'm glad that we get to update it, and it will help our employees serve the community better, be a little bit more efficient. I'm all about efficiency. So
Haley?
I was just gonna, add that the conversation at Public Works and Finance was positive, and just reiterating that we knew it was coming. It's in budget, it's in the planned for scope, it's no surprises. And it was a planned for amendment that we knew was gonna come when the time was right. So we just wanted to make sure the Public Works Committee, the three of us had discussed, like it is a topic in our strategic, or not strategic plan, but the shop continues to be something, thank you, priority for the capital improvement plan. And we wanted to make sure that our much larger audience who is here tonight for a full council meeting was also able to hear about it. So, and with that,
Anybody
Madam
else?
Chair. Okay, I move we approve the amended professional services agreement as presented.
second,
All right, moved and seconded. Let's start at your end this time. Haley?
Aye.
Gina?
Aye.
Drew?
aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Bryce?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Thanks, Cody.
Thank you, Cody.
Thanks, Cody.
Next on the agenda is the Latah County Independence Day Parade fee waiver request, and Steve Schulte will be presenting to us.
Thank you. Yeah, usually you'd have Bill or Tyler standing up here for this one, but
This is a treat for us.
this is a treat. Yeah, usually I'm talking about snow or
Yeah,
a
exactly.
little wild with crazy pictures, but this one's a bit, well, that's a little different. So yes, to discuss the fee waiver request for the 4th of July parade coming up. Just to give a little background on the fee changes and how we, over the years, have got to where we're at. In 2024, City Council adopted the resolution 2024-20, updating the city service fees to reflect actual time and material costs for the parade. The prior Main Street Minor Parade route fee of $346.50 was significantly below the actual cost of services. Updated fees now total $4,830.84 for the 2025 Latah County Independence Day Parade. So the fee breakdown into two parts. The $2,240 is the city's direct labor costs. The $2,590.84 is the device and equipment use fees. So that's the signs, barricades, equipment, those other parts. So as far as the details here, the request details, the event organizers have requested a waiver of the equipment and device use fees. They've agreed to pay the full labor or direct labor cost. This would reduce their cost from $4,830.84 to $2,240. City administrator reviewed this, obviously, and found that the event is as identified as a identifiable public purpose. It meets all the criteria of the city's donations and sponsorship policy. As a service the city could legally provide, aligns and supports the city's mission and public benefit objectives, is cost effective and legally compliant. And then as far as historic situations like this, last year with the U of I homecoming parade, the similar situation where the equipment use fees were waived, but the labor costs were recovered. So with that, because the waiver value exceeds $500, it needs to go before you guys. So here, that's where we're at.
Great, thank you, Steve.
All right.
I have something.
Questions? Sandra?
I don't know necessarily this is a question, because I think most of the questions I've had of this have pretty much been answered, but I would like to say that, I know when UI came in for homecoming, they hadn't budgeted for this kind of increase because it was new, and it's a significant increase that has been put in. And I would say that, we have done waivers for other organizations, whether it's street waivers, to help them close streets or help them with other things, that we have done this for different groups. And I think it's, really the precedent says that because we have such a large increase, because it's changed so much, that I think we do approve the waiver they're asking for, with the caveat that budget for it for next year, right? We understand that it may have been a surprise and wasn't budgeted for, and I think there's ample time to budget for the future. So it's my opinion that we approve the fee waiver.
Julie, go.
Gina.
It's okay, Bryce.
It's
Bryce
okay.
spoke first. I'll go third. That's
All right.
fine.
Yeah.
Bryce.
Yeah, thanks, Steve, for being here. I've got a couple questions, if you don't mind.
Oh,
So
yeah, sure.
don't walk away from the podium yet. Yeah, sorry.
Nice
Okay.
try,
Sorry, I
though.
know you were itching for that one. So I am curious, in our packet, it makes it pretty explicit that this is a Main Street minor route. And so I'm wondering if you could define the distinctions between a Main Street minor route and a Main Street major route.
So historically, in the fee schedule, there was two parade routes that were specific to, like they were the only parade routes that would be supplied by or provided by the city. The major parade route is the one you see for the homecoming parade, which includes closing all of Main Street up to D Street, the rest of the couplet there, around Washington, Jackson, to supply a lot more staging room for a lot more equipment people, bands, all the high schools, all of that. The minor parade route is the one you see for the Light Up the Night parade and for the 4th of July, the Independence Day parade.
Great, thank you. Has there been a parade of this minor route since the fee increase of last year? I know you just mentioned Light Up the Night, but there has not been.
The Light Up the Night parade would have been after our fee schedule would have been implemented.
And did they pay the full amount to the best of
It's
your
a
knowledge?
city
The city.
sponsored.
City. Okay, great, cool. So great. And then to that end, also looking through our packet tonight, are the organizers, or to that end, waiving the equipment fee, will they still be using city equipment for this event?
We'll still be,
Yeah.
doing all of the,
Okay, so it is still city equipment. It's not their own rented equipment from another supplier or anything like that? Okay, great. And to that end, like seeing that we haven't had this minor parade route since the new fee structure since last year, and then since they would still be using city equipment at this time, contrary to what Sandra referenced, I'm uncomfortable granting this waiver because I think that potentially sets it up for the future that if another organization wants to set up a minor parade route, they'll look at this and ask for a fee to be waived as well. So I'm inclined to vote no on this waiver insofar as I think that this could also set us up to keep having this conversation moving forward. And so the fee is set to what it's set. And, not to literally rain on anybody's parade, the parade can still happen, but the fees are set for a reason and they have to be paid to what they're paid. So I appreciate you answering my questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Bryce. Anybody else have questions, comments? I think Gina, you were up next.
Yeah, I'm trying to gather my thoughts. If somebody else wants to go first, that would be fine.
I have a question, if you don't mind. It's kind of weird because I'm both the acting mayor and a council member. But how long ago was this application made?
that I'm not aware of. Usually it's well in advance.
Well in advance.
The maximum, I think, is 180 days prior to the event.
That's what I read in code, I think.
So,
Probably fairly close to that. They've been pretty quick.
180 days would make it January 9th or whatever is like the earliest a parade request.
But I don't recall exactly when you'd have to ask Amanda Argona that came in.
They submitted the application on March 28th of 2025.
do you know when it was, sorry, does one of you know when it was processed? Like, how long have they known that this was the fee?
I believe at the end of March, early April, they would have known what the fee is.
Thank you. And my other question is, do you have to use city barricades and things, or can you rent them from like a construction company?
We would allow, we talked about that option. Yeah, we would allow another company to come in and do the traffic control. It's just with deploying and implementing a traffic control plan, you do have to have training certifications in order to do so and to ensure safety of traveling public.
Okay.
So that would be one requirement, that we would ensure that those outside traffic control companies, were certified to do so.
But it's an option to like shop
Yep.
around and get a better price? Or-
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you. No more questions for me. Gina, are you ready?
Well, I may just dribble thoughts out here. I agree with Sandra in that we've already waived the homecoming equipment and use fees. I think that that set a precedent. I will promise the 5 of you up here with me tonight that we're going to be dragging those fees out at the workshop, in the budget workshop. And
I'm uncomfortable with I'm comfortable with some of the minutia in there, and I want to explore that. I have personally trouble with what I understand is maybe an exclusive nature of this parade, in that if I wanted to bring my pride float, it maybe wouldn't be as welcomed. And that bothers me. I think that right now, more than anything in our entire world, yes, there's a soapbox and I'm on it. What we need right now is something to pull us together, not something to divide us or exclude groups. The same groups who are probably paying taxes to subsidize this parade as well. So I have very mixed emotions about this. I do think we have to waive it. I do say to the parade organizers, budget next year.
Julia.
Okay, go ahead, Haley.
Or Madam Dr.
Yes.
Chairwoman.
Councilmember Lewis.
Councilmember. Gina, as far as like something to pull us together, like I'm pulling together behind the budget, which is we are, you should be very proud of me. Crap is tight. I filtered. Crap is tight.
Agreed.
And this, when we say we approved a waiver, this is the first one under the procurement agreement in which a waiver of $500 or more comes before council for deliberation. I was not involved in the conversation around U of I. So I'm looking at it, this right here. I also want to clarify, like, we are not here to say whether or not the parade should happen or not. The conversation isn't around whether or not we want to waive
Right.
the fees. I want to clarify that because I know we all got a lot of emails asking us to cancel or carry on for various reasons. And like, I will proudly defend anyone's right to gather for peaceful assembly and, your First Amendment rights. But again, about the fees and the waivers, I would love for us united behind the budget. I also want to clarify, when we went through and looked at since I've been on council, and when we got the line item change, the red line version for all of the fee changes, the parade entry adjustments for the parade contract did not look large. I didn't know.
Right.
I understand that anyone who would assume that to throw a parade is going to be a $300 fee, and I think the next line talks about labor, like at cost or whatever. It is not a clear message. So in a perfect world, I would love for us to move forward, knowing that if this is kind of like what we can expect for a holiday and if we can mock up something that's a non-holiday.
Made full.
Yeah, just like a spec to help people understand that like you're not just paying for the $300 for a permit fee. I also know that we don't have very many parades, and I really wish that parade folks would be willing to like talk to each other, because like if you have had this extension in this conversation that was separate from council, and you wanted to know how much a parade would cost, I would hope that you'd be communicating with your parade peers. But that's just that's idealizing. Parade club, yeah, we'll start a coffee club. My question would be, to bring this full circle, how do we get to the numbers? Because this one, Exhibit A, everybody, is the mock-up that we got in the public packet, re-clarifying from streets with the number of signs and like the number of people and the hours with them. Like, how do we get to this quote? Is this just like best practice from the past?
So this is based off of the adopted plans for we'll call it the minor parade route, the historic
Cool.
smaller scale parade route, and the exact number of signs devices used for that, and then the costs were taken from the fee schedule,
Right.
and then the labor also from the fee schedule.
Okay. So like, I've got pie in the sky out things of what we could do differently, but as far as, I guess, to close my thoughts, as far as the discussion before us about waiving a fee, and I know it is a nominal amount, sure, in the grand scheme of if you look at the total amount for the budget, but like, I got to depreciate the value of these things somehow. And with knowing what I know, and about what we're going to have a hard conversation coming up with our next budget cycle and with revenues down for the city, it is my priority to make sure we make sound fiscal decisions. And in my mind, the sound fiscal decision
is to deny the fee waiver, not because of the parade, but the fee waiver. So that's where I'm sitting right now. I mean, yeah, I'm open to conversation though.
All right. Drew, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I have a couple, try to keep them concise, consistent, and clear. So a couple things I agree with. I think a couple of us have mentioned how our budget workshop that's coming up.
Yeah.
I find, I think most of us at some point have come from the private sector and now are in the public sector. And so things from my perspective, which by design, democracy moves a little bit slower. So things are part of this design of this when we're figuring out items is I really believe that when this waiver is put forward, or not this waiver, but this proposition to how we structure parades was to be more transparent. And why we're trying to be transparent is, for a long time, we were covering the cost of the labor as a city. But with the Idaho Supreme Court ruling in the Bradbury case, we had a 1.6 something change deficit that has occurred. That is
Million.
Million.
1.6 million.
Did I say?
You just said
1.6.
1.6, period.
1.6. You guys fill in the blank. So, that's left us in an ability which I think has brought up some good concerns. That's made us to draw back and to pivot to say, hey, we need to just be charging for labor. Now, one question I have, that's my thought. I agree with, I think everyone has said it, that we're going to be revisiting this deeply.
Yep.
And so that 6-hour meeting might be a 12-hour meeting by the time we're done. So we might need dinner, just not lunch.
And it's open to all.
And it's open to all.
July
Yes.
8th. Yeah.
July 8th.
Yep.
That being said, so can you walk me through this equipment, right? Since you are the guru of the equipment, right? You and your staff, where's this equipment used at? Like what are other applications of like when this is implemented? Because it's not parade equipment. You don't have it on a shelf saying, get this out for a parade.
Some of this is specific to parades, yes. We don't have, it's highway markers, Highway 95, Detour South, those specific signs, they're only used for parades. A handful.
How many of those are
I
there?
believe there'd be 10 specific to a parade signs. It may be more, but it's at least 10 that are, like at 3rd and Jackson, both sides, and as well as the detour around the Cutler signs that are specific to the parades.
So,
But then you also have 22 other barricades, which are used for multi-purpose. 58 other signs that are used for other purposes. The construction drums, parking notifications, those are obviously used for various other things.
yeah, for me, the thing I think is helpful when looking at this is knowing what this equipment's used for. And so thank you for answering. We got 10 specific signs that are used for parade, but we're using, I think I can see it over here. I have it on my laptop, my phone, I have it all devices. We got, 53, so I can do math. That's 43 that aren't specific to parades. If you guys want to double check me with the calculator, you can. I'm just kidding. But and so there's a variety of like other things that are on there. And for me, I know we have these tools, these mechanisms to help us when we do construction projects like throughout the city, or a myriad of like other things, farmers market. And I think when for things for profit like construction come up, but when we're talking about community events with nonprofits applying, I think that's where I think next year, I agree with everyone, plan for it. This is the first year that's came across. This year I can see how this isn't, I don't control the budget, but I don't see how this is making profit. It's a nonprofit hosting this.
It's the application is not, and it shouldn't matter, but the application's from the Palouse Group, which is an LLC. It's not a registered nonprofit. And that's semantics at this point, right? Like if the parade, regardless of who hosts it, do we waive a fee or not? Like it is, the name on the application is Palouse Group LLC, which is neither here nor there. But if we're making decisions couched in a nonprofit, how we would handle a nonprofit versus a for-profit, I'm like parking that because like that's not what the question is if we waive fees, full stop, period. If this is happening on the 3rd of July, the 4th of July, I mean, 3rd of July would maybe be cheaper because you're not paying overtime. I understand. Well, not the same impact, but sorry, didn't mean to be out of order there, but I wanted to clarify.
Thanks. Sorry,
I'm so sorry, Drew. I totally threw you off.
let's let
We're
Drew
used to it.
finish his thought. Yeah.
We've been there. So I understand what you're saying, but whether it's classified as nonprofit or not, it's no one makes profit during a parade. And so we have this equipment that we can, and I understand your point, Haley and others, that we've made an exemption to the University of Idaho, which at some point we've all went to or been employed by. This is just a way, like we did one time, and then this last year, correct me if I'm wrong, for 2024, UVI paid for the full fee.
They paid for the labor,
Yeah.
but not
We
the
waived the
But that was in
fees
23.
Did we waive for
last, maybe it was the last 2 years they paid for the
last
labor.
2 years.
I'd have to look at records on that. I'm sorry.
It doesn't look like we have an answer to that question.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I do the traffic control planning, not
It's okay.
the,
It's not the end of the world.
And I
It's
believe
not-
it,
All
I
right.
believe it was a student group who pays for it. I don't believe it's the University of Idaho
Right.
itself. It's a student group that planned for and prepared a certain cost for the University of Idaho homecoming parade. And they weren't anticipating it the first time there was a fee increase for the major parade route, which they used. And so there was a waiver provided that I believe included some labor costs and costs for equipment. And then I believe that following year, because they had noticed, they paid. So last year they would have paid the full price. I believe is how that played out. I can try to find that information real quick, but if my memory is correct, that's what happened. And that fee waiver request that was reviewed, it was prior to the city council adopting the procurement and policy, the procurement and purchase policy that was adopted after the 2024 fee resolution, where it changed all the parade route costs to time and materials, basically.
I think that there was also like it was passed for the major parade routes. It was passed in August, and they'd already applied. Like, so we can't really. I mean, you could, I
Right,
guess, increase the
right,
fees
right.
after they apply, but they'd already submitted their applications.
And if I'm understanding you correctly, Mia, that's how I understood it as well, that they got waivers first year, second year is paid in full. That's how I understood.
Is that what we're saying?
That's what Mia's tracking
I'm sorry, I
down.
didn't understand what you just said. Drew.
So if you're saying 2023, there was a waiver that existed. I'm not quite sure what the waiver consists of. Whether it's fee or equipment or whatever it was, but in 2024 it was paid. They did pay the full. It wasn't 2 years of being waived. They paid
Correct.
full for the
Okay.
following year.
That's my understanding.
That was
Okay.
mine, but I don't trust my memory, but I definitely will trust Mia's. And so, like Sandra, I think, I mean, I have to agree with her that, yeah, next year's coming. There's time to prepare for that. For this year,
That's me
I'm
too.
comfortable of making approval and, making the approval for the waiver.
Does anybody else have? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess to that end, and I appreciate what you're saying, and especially, looking at U of I, but again, drawing that distinction between a major route and a minor route, I do think matters, one. And two, I'm curious moving forward, let's say if another applicant applies for a minor route parade and they see the fee for $4,800 and they're like, well, we just saw that the 4th of July parade got waived $2,000. I bet we can get that knocked off too. Let's say this happens in 2 months. Are we going to waive that fee again? Like, is that
And I would vote no again for
Right.
that, right? Like, I mean, it's,
like, that's what I'm trying to get at, where I think that's thinking about what this does on the impact of a minor route, major route, because the major goes all the way to D, minor route doesn't. And so again, if we set this standard by saying, all right, if you're applying for everybody that we want to throw a parade, because
Yeah,
we like
I hear
parades, we like 4th of July parades, absolutely, right? But let's say another organization comes forward in 2 months, wants to throw a parade on this minor route. And they're like, well, we know that the council waived this $2,500 equipment fee. So we'll have that. We can bank on that being waived as well because they've done it once.
There are also two different fee schedules, two different resolutions, the major route and the minor route.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
part of the difference.
So that makes me more inclined to not waive this fee because I don't think that I like to be in this position again in 2 months when somebody else is going to ask for a waiver based on what they see tonight.
Madam Chair, can I just further clarify? The city does not make money. We are not allowed to make money on, like, the whole purpose of a fee schedule is that we are charging the adequate amount to cover the cost of service, the depreciating value of what the thing is that we're renting or allocating use to. I'm not arguing between like the city making another $2,500. Like, we're
Right.
just trying to cover what the expense is. And so I do appreciate that the ask for the waiver is not to waive the labor, because like that tells me that everyone understands that we value our people and our people's time. I am not the subject matter expert when it comes to like what the cost of a rental item is and what we can claim as far as appreciating value on the item, or what it cost, the number, if it's 53 or 54 of these construction signs to be rented per day. But I trust my staff to tell me that. And it is my responsibility as an elected official to make sure that our people are taken care of, our very small staff is taken care of. And this doesn't seem unreasonable. It sounds like what we're all really torn up about is whether or not if this is a surprise or not. And if it was or wasn't a surprise, if that changes what we do or don't decide to waive. And in my mind, like, a surprise is not enough. If I called my phone company and my phone company said, like, I said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize that my bill was going to be twice as expensive because like I didn't read the fine print, like that's on me. So, or I was noticed that my bill was going to increase, right? I mean, I'm really, surprise aside, precedent of who we've treated, what recurring event has happened or not, do you waive the fee or not? It is my job to be fiscally responsible. So
I would really encourage you to consider all of us fiscally responsible.
oh yeah, sorry, not to imply that whatever happens here makes us not fair. Yeah.
I'm not at home. I'm really careful on this one. At home, I just spend blindly.
I accept gifts.
I know.
No,
Mia,
you
what
do
we
not.
know? What do we know about?
So it's my understanding that we're going back to the University of Idaho topic, right? So
And
the
it was
University of-
ASUI, right? It wasn't. It was
It's like a
the.
subcommittee for
So
homecoming.
it was a student group. So
Right.
it's my understanding that the University of Idaho encountered the fee increase on the large parade route in 23. They had previously, so before that fee change in 23, they were charged approximately $1,000 for the large parade route, which involved the closure of northbound US 95 from A Street to D Street. In 2023, following the fee resolution update at that time, that was specific to the large parade route, the major parade route, their fee increased to approximately $5,200. They requested a reduction in the fee because they were part of a student organization, and it wasn't the university paying for it. They had budgeted for it. They didn't have that sort of money budgeted for this parade. So it was determined at that time, after consultation with the mayor, that the city agreed to reduce the fee by not charging the equipment and signage rental and to waive 40% of the labor costs, bringing the total fee to $1,590. That all happened before the adoption of the new, like I said, the procurement and purchase policy. But and then it's my understanding they then paid the full fee in 2024 once they were aware of the fee increase and could plan for the fee increase. So that is the information I have regarding the University of Idaho homecoming parade that was put on by the student organization.
Thank you, Mia.
Thanks, Mia.
Any other comments?
Can I ask a clarifying question? So I know that we talked about this briefly at the beginning. So it was known in late March and early April that the fee increase had happened, right? And now we're here mid-June. I'm curious, the levels by which, and I don't know who to direct this question to, right? But I think that it's unfortunate that this has not gone through Public Works or admin to have more kind of actual discourse about it. And so here we are at this stage paying close attention to a fee rather than actually being able to have had a dialogue. So the 2.5 months for not asking for this waiver sooner definitely matters, right? And
City Councilor Blake.
We are not taking public comments.
So I don't know when exactly the fee was communicated to them. All I'm relying on is what I now have as an event application. It appears that the application was submitted on March 28th. It looks like it was reviewed internally on March 31st. The fee in there, I can't say with any certainty that they were notified of that fee on March 31st or not. I don't have that information, and I don't know that I can assume that based
Sure.
on what
What's
I'm
in there.
looking at with this application. So I don't know that that's when they were communicated that what the fee would be.
thank you.
Does anybody want to make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve the proposed fee waiver request in the amount of $2,590.84.
We have a second?
Second.
All right. Drew.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Bryce.
No.
Sandra.
Yes.
Gina.
Aye.
Haley.
No.
And Julia votes no. That means that the approval of the proposed fee waiver request does not pass because it's a tie.
That motion doesn't, right?
Motion does not pass. Anybody else want to make a proposal? Any other? All right, that is that. So we're clear that does not pass. And the applicant can have the parade and they will need to pay the full fee. All right, now we are moving on to reports for the evening. Haley, would you like to go first?
I would love to go first. We had we all got invited to an ITD Highway 95 Pell, nope, acronym soup, Pell, public input session. It was during the workday last Tuesday, so it was not a super convenient time, but I know we had staff there and I saw folks from all over. It was a really interesting conversation. They will have another, hopefully everyone got mailers on June 25th or 26th. They're doing another open house. I can happily say that one of the ideas that had come from the crowdsourcing ideas included potentially routing traffic and beefing up infrastructure from Mountain View to D Street to cut through town. And that has been put on the kibosh. So I'm very glad that public input was heard. But the two things to note are there's a couple of significant conversations for Highway 8 from the graveyard extending to Troy for some realignment conversations. The reason that's on the table is because even talking about passing lanes to increase safety, the existing footprint, there's nothing that makes it easy to add a passing lane. So they included that in the scope of the conversation about 95. Would highly recommend everyone to get involved in that conversation. They're weighing pros and cons they're looking for public input in addition to the data modeling to help understand what a ring road or a combination of ring road solutions could look like to route traffic around town in new configurations versus beefing up existing infrastructure. So it was a 3-hour workshop and Bryce was there. It was super interesting. I've got a smart transit meeting on Wednesday. And one thing that Bill has started working with Casey, Casey, the director, on is a service agreement, which I'm excited to have. So clear defined deliverables for both parties, which we're glad to have. So that conversation is starting. And so that'll eventually come to all of us for review and approval. And I think my only other update is looking forward to the conversation in Boise this week. The Association of Idaho Cities is having their annual conference. Usually means we come home with some good ideas. And so learning lots and networking is the buzzword of forever. So there's that. That's what I got.
All right, Gina, go ahead.
The Transportation Commission meeting that would normally have been last Thursday got canceled. And, but I will tell you that 2 days before that, I got to go to the Tree Commission.
Best day.
Best day ever. They're starting to talk about, again, this is kind of the power of this group, right? They are pre-planners. We're looking at seedling giveaways for 26.
For April or
Yeah.
okay.
And I will tell you that ponderosa pine, a beautiful dogwood, and the well-behaved version of the Burr English oak will be available. Not the misbehaving one, because they are terrible and we all know that. The 2026 Arbor Day, and this is kind of a cool thing, and I will tell you that it started, Mark Heinlein, who is on our, he was on Parks and Rec, and he's on Harvest Park, and has started this thing of having kind of a cross-pollination between commissions, and I love it because even if he doesn't say anything, he's still kind of soaking in what's going on. So for Arbor Day, the partnership that we're hoping to do with the Tree Commission is the U of I Sustainability Program. So kind of a good way to get those young people who are going to stay here, right, after they graduate, they can get involved in that sort of thing. We are going to do some pruning education, and we're hoping to involve developers a little bit too, because sometimes those funny pruning jobs on trees aren't good for them. And so we need to maybe give some continued education. Stop laughing, Dan Schoenberg. And what's really cool, and I wanted to give a shout out to the Pitkin Nursery. They are unsung heroes of the seedling giveaways in that they, for many years, have been supporting us. I mean, they give us a great discount, the Tree Commission in the city, on the tree seedlings, right? And then we put them in bags. We do the little labor to keep the price low. But this year they gave us almost 100 extra seedlings to hand out. And I just think that is such a great partnership, especially in kind of the time of scarcity that we're all in right now. This kind of a moment allows us that moment of being able to give 100 more seedlings away, but then also look at all those trees that we could plant. So anyway, I had that feel good moment. And that's really all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Drew.
I have been traveling and been out sick. And so besides going to leadership and a couple other things, there's not really a lot to report on. But I'm sure Sandra will cover the URA here in a moment, since I wasn't able to attend. We're moving in a good direction for that. Talked to Cody earlier tonight. And the rest of my items I need to cover will be coming later this month, next week. So stay tuned.
Thank you. Sandra.
Gosh, I actually thought URA was like before this last council meeting, so I'm glad you said that, Drew. I thought, oh, we covered that before because it seems so long ago. So I guess I'll start with that. We are trying to make progress. I think we're trying to really think, I don't know, maybe a little more creatively on how we can work with that piece of land. One thing that we really talked about and had really great conversations about is breaking it up into 2 triangles and seeing if that helps and if that sparks some thoughts and ideas. So what I really appreciate is I know sometimes people are going to, and I would have been one of them, will roll their eyes going, oh my gosh, when's something going to happen? We're working on making things happen every time we meet. And actually before that, people are prepping to try and see what can we do there to make it be that cornerstone that it's supposed to be. So I'm encouraged by the idea of maybe breaking it up into 2 triangles and having 2 different entities work on that. So looking forward to seeing what happens. Don't know if it's actually going to head that way or not, but it's been really good conversation. And I've appreciated it. It felt like for the first time in a long time, we weren't just like walking through in your mucklucks in the middle of October, hoping it's not frozen in your feet are going to pop out and then get frozen too. Right. It's just
It's a
about
good
really
image.
awful for, right. Right.
I
Thank
know it
you.
happens. Yeah.
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 So, yeah, it feels more like you're wearing your Tevas and, you can walk around and things feel good. It's occasionally a step on a rock. So that's better. So I'm encouraged.
Little shoe
I'm encouraged.
metaphor.
I think because my feet hurt, right? I had to order new shoes today because my feet hurt. So that's it. So there's that. So I'm encouraged about where we're going with URA, and I look over at Cody because he's been great about helping lead us through, and we'll be working on our, I think, budgeting process, and yeah, things look good. Also, another really fun thing, and often I love when Gina gets excited about the tree commission. 'Cause I'm like, man, there's something I want to get that excited about. Because I love working with the fire department and being their liaison, but sometimes it's just kind of same old thing and it goes on. But this time it was like Christmas. This was a great time to be the fire liaison because they got their new radios that we've been working, I swear, for like decades on. Right? And it's exciting because just catching everyone up really, well, probably quick. I don't know, who am I trying to kid? But for a long time, they weren't able to really communicate depending on where they're at. And so there's that fear of saying dispatch, we have a fire, and dispatch not hearing them. Or dispatch saying, don't go there because you're going to get burned, and they can't hear it. I mean, that is a fear. As an old dispatcher, that sends shivers down my spine. And so I love that we finally have our new radios. It's been a long time coming. They got their little frequencies. Most of them worked out. They're still trying to do some little experimenting and whatnot, but everyone got their radios on Wednesday, and I got to be there for that, and it was just exciting. Everyone's like opening it, like Christmas, like opening things up and batteries and they're all looking around. What's this? How does this work? And yeah, it was just fun. So I'm glad I can get worked up like Gina can over Tree Commission because it was really a great thing to see. It was really fun. And then I got to put my readers on because I'm old now. Let's see here. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we didn't do anything for 1912 development. And that's not a surprise. It's not like it's falling behind or anything. It's just, things progress fast and then they kind of slow down till we hear things and they go fast again. So again, I'm just really encouraged with what's going on there. I do want to throw out just because I can, because Julia hasn't hit me yet. Well, it's whoever's sitting here, you have that threat of the mirror saying, shut up, right? And so I'm thankful she hasn't done that yet. On June 25th at the 1912 Center, and I'm not sure of the time, I'm going to say a tentative 6, but please look this up. The Latah County Historical Society has been working on a book about the buildings in Moscow, and it's our book opening, right?
cool.
And it's a fun thing. So come over to it's free. It's a free event. The book is not free. We hope you buy many, but the event is free. So come to the 1912 Center. Check out the book. I know that the staff they worked so hard on it, and it's lovely, and it's really fun to see. I don't know. I'm an old building junkie. And it's really fun to see all the pictures. So if you want a nice, fun, free event, go there on the 25th. And I think that's all I have.
Thank you.
That's cool.
The other Drew. Sorry. Bryce.
The other
It's
Drew.
wild how many times Drew gets called Bryce, Bryce gets called Drew. So we're kind of used to it.
Sorry.
Honored.
Yeah,
It's a
likewise.
mustache.
Both with receding hairlines. I'm right there with you. buddy.
I'm winning.
Uh,
You're winning.
Yeah.
Gets to say
So since our last council meeting, I haven't had any commissions to report to because they've all been canceled. However, in the last couple of weeks, I did have some pseudo city responsibilities and engagements. Like Haley mentioned, went to the ITD workshop about the long-term plans for 95 and State Highway 8. And again, I think that hopefully everybody got the mailers that were sent out last week to attend the workshop coming up because it's really like they really do value public opinion. They really do value public input because they know how much it matters. So I would really encourage you to attend those workshops if you're able. A little bit change of gears here. Last Friday, I was asked to be a guest bartender for the Palouse Land Trust Conservation celebration of 30 years. The Palouse Land Trust has been going for 30 years. And so it was great to be able to be behind the bar for them, but also hear about the amazing work that they've done in the last 30 years, having people that either Zoomed in or talked from like the very start to where they're at now, and just the importance of conservation and kind of what they do now in 2025. This past weekend, Saturday and Sunday, this is completely pseudo city related. I participated in the Corner Club Golf Open. It's always a great organization, really great tournament with about 200-ish people there and just kind of really great to get out and meet new folks and have really good conversation. And I'm surprised that nobody's mentioned that they maybe went to Moscowana on
Oh,
Saturday.
yeah. Oh, it's on Saturday. Yeah.
Too many things between the 3 different parades and a No Kings protest
There's a lot going on. I know.
Couldn't get there
I
on that
know.
one.
Father's Day weekend.
And Father's Day. But yeah, Moscowana, always a big hit, always a good time. Great to see the community on a beautiful summer evening. And then, like others, going to AIC tomorrow, which is always a great opportunity to network and a great opportunity to learn how to be a more effective city councilor. So
Thank you.
Julia, can I make one more plug for the ITD thing really,
Yeah,
really quick?
yeah.
I've refound my notes. I want to highlight how important it is that we actually have people who engage on it, because the whole idea of what they do with the Pell Grants, it's not saying that it's shovel ready or going to happen tomorrow, but like what I wrote down verbatim was it's meant to help with local planning for the next 10 to 20 years. So like the decisions that are made at these Pell discussions at this level 1, which is they said looking for fatal flaws, which is like basically the what
D Street
D
options.
Street, yeah, out to pasture was. That then will have to fold into our planning for the next 10 to 20 years. So would love for our citizenry to be engaged on that one. Thank you.
Yeah, it probably doesn't excite a lot of people, but
It's super
those highway discussions are really, really important for Moscow.
Julie, can I say one more thing? I'm sorry that I forgot something.
It's a free for all.
I know. It's going to start throwing cough drops.
Indeed.
But as the liaison to the Moscow Arts Commission, I think it's incumbent for me to remind you all that the last art walk is June 26th, which happens between now and our next council meeting in July. So I felt like it was important.
That
to
is
make
incumbent.
sure that
I'm
that's
going to
on
add
the
something
calendar.
into it before you go, because I want to give you all the glory.
Well, okay, go ahead.
I thought Bryce was going to get to it actually, because aren't you on the Human Rights Commission?
Last year.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
Julia.
Is that you?
Yep.
Okay, then never mind then. Sorry,
Okay.
Julia.
So in the last 2 weeks, I had Fair and Affordable Housing Commission, had some important discussions about the possibility of a affordable housing authority and whether or not that might move before council. And have been acting mayor for the last 3 weeks, and I'm looking forward to the mayor coming back. No, it's not that bad. And had city leadership. And I just wanted to mention to everybody that June 19th is the celebration of the end of slavery in the United States. That is Juneteenth. And there will be an event at Friendship Square around lunchtime. I think it's 11 to 1 ish. So around lunchtime. And then next week is on the 23rd is the Moscow Welcome Table, where anyone is welcome to come and have a free chef cooked meal served by lovely volunteer waiters and waitresses, or I guess they're all servers now. And it's a great event to meet your neighbors, and also it's free. And I will also be at AIC this week learning things about how to best manage a city in Idaho. So that will be, that is always a very informative event. All right. Did I miss something? Were you going to talk about Juneteenth?
Because I
Okay.
thought Bryce was on Human Rights
Right.
Commission. So.
All right. Well, with that, then we will end the meeting at 7:53.
Do you need a motion,
Wait.
Lori? Lori, I move.
I'll second.
And now you can do the gap.
All
And
in
no, we need to
favor?
vote and,
Aye.
okay, yeah.
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Okay.